The Lexus LFA and the Acura NSX are two iconic cars. The first time I saw the Acura NSX was in Pulp Fiction. Okay, so these two cars are both iconic. Mostly, the Acura NSX is more iconic, or Honda NSX as most people know it. So in the United States, it is called the Acura NSX, and I think all around the world it's still called the Honda NSX. So the thing that I find iconic about the Acura NSX is that it's been out for many many years, and there were race drivers and other people that drove them, and they gave their opinion. They gave their feedback. Actually, they actually gave their feedback, and they said, "Look, you better do this and do that to perfect the car." And the issues that I have with these people that review the cars, or people that have driven the cars, like YouTubers and other people, they've driven the Acura NSX, and it's just like, wow, it's been a nice car. But people like you and me, consumers, we're not buying those cars because we don't have the money to buy the car, to spend what, 100 something thousand dollars, up to $200,000. Like, that is a lot for a car. But I do have to say that the Lexus LFA at the time when it was out, or at the time that I started hearing about the LFA, I was like, the LFA is junk because it's $400,000, and it is overpriced junk because Lexus is a company that makes cars that are at the price point of 80, maybe the maximum 70, $80,000 at the time, or maybe $90,000 at the time. They were making only those types of cars. They were not making cars that were 100, 200, 3, 400, like it was a Ford GT, or it was like the Nissan Ismo. Like, I was like, uh, Lexus, you're gonna fail by making a car that's $400,000 overpriced junk. And at the time, I wasn't like really into reliability and into comfortness, and I was just like a regular dude that was just like a YouTube reviewer that just said, let's go into the Nissan, and it drives great, or it drives exceptional. Or I jump into a Hyundai and I say, look, a Hyundai is seems decent, and it's pretty comfortable, or it's pretty quick. That was me, even though I still had my eyes were still focused only on Acuras. Okay, my eyes were still focused on Acuras and Hondas, where I was like, Acuras and Hondas are reliable. They're pretty quick. They're nice driving, and that was me at the time. And then everything that was Lexus, I was like, Lexus is boring. Lexus is slow. Lexus is this. Lexus that. Lexus. All these negative things I had to say about Lexus, until I saw one in person. Okay, until I actually saw it in person, and I still thought it was. I mean, like, the first time I was in one, I was like, like, not the first time, but I mean, like, the time I actually got into a Lexus RX, and I was like, this thing is garbage. This thing is slow. This thing is not fun to be driven in. This thing is missing features that my current vehicle has. And I was like, junk. But long story short, I got a Toyota 2018, and it wowed me. It actually wowed me. And then I got back into a Lexus, and it was just like, wow. It just wowed me, like, just felt comfortable and everything. So at the time, I think I was in the 2016 or 2015 RX, which some people were saying it's floaty and it just doesn't drive well, but it is reliable. So I started checking it out, and that's how I fell in love with both Lexus and Acura, because Acura is fun but rough. It's not comfortable, and then Lexus is comfortable but not fast, and it is somewhat sporty, like I always mention. So that's how I got into liking both. But at the time, I was still saying the NSX is more iconic, and it's been out for many years, and the LFA is just one generation and garbage. But now, I do have to say that both are pretty substantial. They're pretty good, and I do have to say now that I've actually watched tons of videos and seen the people that reviewed it, the LFA. Now I have to say, oh my gosh, the LFA is very much exceeding the expectations of people, except for the gas mileage that was poor on that vehicle. But other than that, it was great. It was like the best of the best that Lexus could ever create. So that's the reason I feel like both are iconic. Acura's iconic. The NSX is iconic because it has been out for many years, and it was the vehicle that was sporty but at the same time iconic, and kind of the price point was for the masses. Like, the majority of people could buy the NSX. Most people couldn't buy the LFA. But I do have to say that the problem that I have with both of these vehicles is that they were priced at a higher price point than they should have. I'm gonna say it like this: both vehicles are great, and they're good in their own respect. But the majority of people didn't buy the NSX. That's the reason I think they discontinued it, even though it's being said that they're bringing it back as an electric vehicle. Okay, they're bringing it back as an electric vehicle, which is a disaster. And the same thing's going to supposedly happen for the Lexus LFA, which is not going to be. It's not going to make a lot of people happy. It's going to disappoint them. But that's just the way life is. People are going for electric vehicles, so that's the only downside to it. But the upside that I'm going to say is that they were both very iconic vehicles. The Lexus LFA, the sound was great, the engine, everything was great. The way it was driven was pretty good. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was the best that Lexus has ever made. And now all the parts from Lexus LFA has been trickled down to the IS 500, to the ES, and somewhat the RX, and everything is just like separated and put into one car, and then other parts were put into other cars, and so on. It's not like they put all the LFA parts into one vehicle. So in some cars it's the tachometer, in some parts it's the interior, in some other parts it's different things. So like I said, both cars are both iconic, and that is something I do have to say, that I wish that these two cars were still out, because the Lexus LFA was amazing. The sound quality, the comfortness, the reliability was there. And then the NSX was reliable, it wowed people. It even wowed the Tesla owners, that you could say, wow, look, this car can go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and it could dominate your Tesla. It can dominate the Tesla. It can obliterate your Tesla. The two electric motors, it can destroy your Tesla. So that's what I'm saying. These two cars are iconic. The only thing I have to knock the NSX for is the interior. They still kept the interior very old school compared to what they could have done for the NSX Type S. So I do have to say the NSX Type S was a beautiful car. It was uh, pretty quick. It wowed people, and the LFA wowed people, but it wasn't out in the market for too long, which I feel like if it would have been out more in the market, or they would have did a little bit of upgrading to the vehicle, it would have been incredible. It would have still obliterated the NSX, but these two cars never got to see the newer interiors that we're getting in the Lexus RX, the GX, the LX, the IS. Like like it never got to see the new interior, which is what made it feel like more of an old school car instead of a newer one. And the same thing for the NSX. Like the NSX had dual screens, the old school dual screens, or I think it was like old school screens that was like from 2013, 2012. And I still feel like they didn't do anything with it, even with the Type S. So they just did the body work and that was it. But they knew that they were not going to sell well again because many people were going for the C8 Corvette. People were going for Porsches. People were going for BMWs. People were going for Mercedes. And they were like, screw the NSX. So that's my opinion on both cars. I feel like both cars are great in their own respect. I'm not going to say that one car is garbage and the other one is great. No, they're both great, okay? They're both pretty great. But I still have to give the edge to the LFA. I still have to give the edge to the LFA over the NSX. But both cars, like I said, they're both pretty great for what they are. They're great. The price point is a different story for the LFA, but now the LFA is like probably $1 million now, and then the NSX is going up to those prices of the $1 million. So that's about it. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll catch you guys in another video.